Hey, Jay.
Good morning, Natalie.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Did you not know it's not morning?
Well, it is for our guests. I've got to be polite.
Oh, that is right.
Look at me being
right.
nice.
Here,
Yeah.
you know what? I'll sing her in. Good morning.
Oh, no.
Good morning. It's great to see you, Susie. Good morning. Good morning to you. Yes, this is not a singing competition. However,
it's not a Disney movie, Susie, so there's not like little fairies flying around.
You know, I was thinking of like Disney. You're exactly right. I could see myself like Snow White. Okay, but this is a podcast, and we are here to talk to Susie Singer Carter, and she is amazing. So, Jay,
Holy smoke.
I think you need to tell our guests about Susie.
And then
we're going to bring her in, and we're going to have the best time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So there's fire when you say her name is all I can say.
Preach,
we want to welcome Susie Singer Carter. Okay, Natalie, this is the truth, but she's like a superstar in our world.
She's a star.
And when we got into all this, we were like, we will never be able to get her as a guest.
She'll never talk to us.
She's really nice. And
oh my God, she's our honorary sister, and she's blonde, and I love that.
So she is a mother, she is a daughter, she is a filmmaker, she is a podcaster, she's an advocate, and she has a caregiver story. She does it all. Susie's mother, Norma, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at a time when Susie says life could have really used a break. But there's never really a good time for caregiving. Her experiences led to the most unexpected gift and stories that have ever been heard. Her story serves as a mirror reflecting the beauty and complexity of the human condition, hope, and love. That was a quote from her, and I love that. And Susie, we are so excited to have you here because we're just honored.
There's a clappy thing in Riverside, but I like to still do it old school.
Yeah, we're old school.
Oh my God. Sisters.
I love it.
There you go. This is going to be so fun. Oh my God. First of all, thank you for that amazing introduction. Oh my God. It's not true at all. Like I'm
just faking it.
I'm embarrassed. That's so crazy. You guys are you two are amazing. I watched you come on the scene and take over. Yeah,
that's very kind.
And I love it. And I love you guys. I enjoy it. And this is so funny because we've had to cancel how many times before we got to do this? Three times. And three's the charm. And then, of course, what happens this morning, my alarm doesn't go off because I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah. It never happens. It was on. I mean, I woke up like, boom, and I went, where's the sound? You could see it said alarm, 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 but the sound was
try.
I was like, yeah.
But I just assume you woke up that beautiful, though. I assumed you woke up that pretty. Like, you know how I was on Days of Our Lives when we were growing up, and Bo and Hope would always wake up with makeup on.
Beautiful.
I just assumed you were just woke up beautiful.
Okay, so who's your favorite Bo, though? Which Bo did you like?
Oh, the original. Could there be
the original friend?
Peter.
Yeah. Peter.
Okay, I played his girlfriend on Days of Our Lives for a hot week, and had a cat fight with Lisa Rada.
Oh, Lisa Reyna's always a cat fight, though. You could see her in other things, and she cat fights.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, we cat fought.
We're not even talking about caregiving now. We're just talking about Susie's her movie career.
It's because she's cool. Because she's a movie star. She's a movie star. And the end. That's it. But you know what? She is also a caregiver star. Honestly, like you are a fierce warrior and advocate. And so in your free time, outside of like Hollywood, you are doing some amazing things. But it all started somewhere. And so I want you to kind of take us back, and let's go back. And I always like to say, it started from start from the beginning. So you were born. And then, then skip. You were born, and then skip to the good part. But really, give us some background about your family and how you got up to caregiving.
Right. So, quickly. My mom and dad were in the music industry, and I was, and my mom was a singing, pretty much a child prodigy. She started singing opera at 9 years old and studied at Carnegie Hall with one of these renowned teachers, and just incredible little force of nature, right? Yeah. Just a pistol, 5 foot tall, and just, an incredible impact on everybody she met. And she really taught me how to be a good woman in terms of like being good to other women. And I love that about my mom the most, because my mom didn't have a jealous bone in her body. Yeah. And we would walk past like some stunning woman who was like, 6'3", gorgeous. My mom would go, "Oh my God, stop. I need to take a look at you." "Okay, thank you." And the woman is like, no one ever compliments other women, usually.
That's right.
And they'd be taken aback and they'd go, "You just made my day. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank God. Don't thank me." And that was my mom. And there wasn't a jealous bone in her body. And nor an insecure bone in her body, right?
I love that.
I'm sure she had an insecure, but it was like, if I was insecure, she would go, "Oh my God, that's why?" She'd go, "That hurts my heart." She would tell me, "I want you to go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and thank God for your brain and your face and everything else. Stop it," And I just love that about her, because I've never been the mean girl, right? And I've just never looked at it. My company is called Go Girl Media. I've always wanted to support women. And I find it hard because women haven't been given the opportunity to role model after a good woman.
Yeah. Well, it's to be kind, because the problem is that we fight each other for the one seat instead of, moving somebody out and creating two.
Make room. There's always room. Make room. Right. And it's the only way we can do it. I mean, you only have to look at the boys club to see how it works, right? Yeah. And they never have that problem. They hire each other. It's Broville all the way, right?
True. It is Broville.
So I mean, let's just cut. Should we cut to So here's besides my daughters and my best friend Dawn, my favorite person in the world was my mom. We just got along. We just loved each other. But we weren't like helicopter daughter mother. She has her life. She's independent. She had a great love life and went through a divorce before divorce was cool. And then, but was very classy but we just enjoyed each other. And she was funny, and music was such a big part of our lives. So when my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which was 16 years before she passed, which she passed in 2022. So 2 years ago in July. And, I was the one that really noticed something was wrong. And I think there's always one person that's going to notice it. And everybody else is going to go, "You're overreacting. Everybody forgets." That's just stop it. Because most people don't want to acknowledge that there might be something wrong. Because if there is, what do we do about it? Right? And then there's all these other fears that we all carry anyway, about aging, about disease, about those things that we just don't want to look at if we don't have to. And I think that, tell me if I'm jumping ahead too fast, but I think that dementia and Alzheimer's in particular it's one of those diseases that nobody really understands until you're in it. So there's all this misunderstanding, stigma, stereotypes of what it looks like, how it manifests, and what the person who has it is actually going through. So what happens is that it's really easy to dismiss them. And so, family members will be like, "Well, they're not going to remember. We're not going to visit because why? They're not going to remember." And even before I really even understood what Alzheimer's was about, because God knows I didn't know a thing about it, my instincts were like, well, that can't be right. That can't be right. So maybe if you ask them 10 minutes later, "Don't you remember? Mark was just here." Maybe cognitively, maybe the logistic side of the brain is going, "No, I don't remember that," but the emotional part remembers. And that gives that person a sense of well-being, a sense of mental good health in terms of emotional good health, and allows them to feel peace of mind of what's left of their mind, the mind that's working. There is a working part of the mind. The mind doesn't just shut down. When it does shut down, that's when you die. And so until then, you have function. And I always liken it to Benjamin Button, because Well, if you have children, you watch children develop. Well, when someone has Alzheimer's, you watch them undeveloped.
You're right. You're right. You regress. And you regress in your abilities and your you regress.
And what
I've never heard it put that way, Susie. And I think Benjamin Button, if you've never seen The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, that is, I would totally agree with that. That's interesting. Keep going.
It frames it for me so well, because what it does is if you raise children or you like children, you hate children, just go with me on this. But, babies are born without language. They can't walk, basically can't do anything. You got to feed them, got to do everything for them. Got to change their diapers, everything. We love them for the most part. We love them. And we talk to them. We know when they feel mad. We know when they're happy. We know when they're, hungry and when they're not hungry. We know everything because they tell us without words.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And and babies that aren't touched, they do not thrive.
No, that's
and
exactly
babies that are not loved do not thrive.
That's right.
And you can feed them all day long, and you can give them tube feedings and all these things, to keep them alive, but they will die. Because they will not thrive. And that's what happens to older people too. So I always, once I learned it, I made every mistake in the book. Don't get me wrong. Trust me. This is like me telling you after, like, I'm a big shot. Yeah, I learned all this. Like I knew it from day one. No, I did not. But the truth is that if you look at it from that lens, then you can kind of understand why it's so important to acknowledge their emotions and their emotional life, which becomes everything. So when they start losing their ability to feed themselves, when they start losing their ability to walk, and so on and so forth, they're still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you come in and tell a joke, they may not be able to, say it with words, but they'll laugh out loud. Yeah. They'll laugh out loud, and you'll know they love you because they're going to squeeze your hand, and they'll laugh. My mom, I have it in my documentary. I mean, my mom, I would come in and go, "You're a troublemaker. You are the biggest troublemaker. You make scandals everywhere." And she all of a sudden takes about, like they say, 20 seconds, give him time to really get it, process the words. And then the big laughing mouth opens up. Just, she got it. Right?
Oh, I love that.
So, Susie, you said, because I read all this stuff, I was like, okay, you said when all this really started, because you've got daughters, you have this career that's been amazing, but you said when you saw this start with your mom, you really could have used a break at that point. When did this start? What was going on?
Okay, so I was going through my second divorce.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah, life is not... It's very messy.
Yeah.
Life is very messy.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And my stepfather was 12 years older than my mom. So physically, he was getting on in years. Yeah. And together they made like one kind of whole person, because my mom's body was completely healthy, ears, eyes, walking like, she's fine. She was 70. She was happy. She was very vibrant. And so he was starting to decline. So it was falling all onto me, because my brother was like, exit stage left. He was like, didn't understand, didn't really want to understand. And, I won't go into that because that's a whole nother topic about family and who ends up taking responsibility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's messy. Family's messy.
It's messy. Money is messy. All that stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
And I've been through it all. That's what I'm telling you. I'm just saying, like, if there's any hiccup or issue that's happens in caregiving, it's happened to me. And that's why I needed to share it, because I realized, like, okay, somehow I survived this and somehow I need to pay it forward. So that's why I, chose to do my short film, My Mom and the Girl, and I chose to do Love Conquers All, because I wanted to keep the conversation going. And now I'm doing No Country for Old People, which is a, pretty dark look at nursing homes and our system, which needs, to be revamped like yesterday, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And, because when you see something, when you know it, you can't unknow it.
Right.
And if you don't do anything about it, then you're kind of complicit.
Yeah. Oh no, you are complicit. Like, you can stick your head, and I think that's where the family kind of makes it hard, because you can have people that are like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. And we've had so many people that talked about siblings or loved ones, like their ability to do. And the thing is you have to decide how much emotional energy are you going to put into expectations of other people versus, like, I don't have enough emotional energy to give you some of mine. Like, I'm not going to. I'm just going to let you go and stop holding you to something that you'll never meet.
Right.
Well said. Exactly. And it takes a little time. It takes a little time to learn that, right? Because when you look at something through your own lens and go, what is wrong with you? Like, how can you even, where are you? And then you realize you're scrambling, you're playing whack-a-mole, you're trying to keep up with everything. You don't have the bandwidth, Natalie, and you don't have the emotional bandwidth either. And so you have to, I just at one point finally said, I'm cutting my losses. For me personally, my brother and I are estranged from this whole situation because people show their true colors when the poop hits the fan, and I saw it, and I gave him many chances to step up, and he didn't in ways that he could have. Everyone has different strengths, but I gave him, chances to step up in the way that I knew he could, and he didn't. And so at some point you got to go, they're never going to be that person. And so why am I wasting my time? Because we're blood. It doesn't matter. You make your own family. You guys are so lucky. You are my dream family because, but I have 2 daughters, like I told you before we started. I made my own sisters, because and I treasure them. And I used to tell them when they were younger, I'd say, don't fight. You guys are so lucky. You have each other. You guys are so lucky.
Oh, trust me, we know. I'm going to pause for a second because I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about this because this is really good. But you're right. Trust me, there's lots of stories we could tell you about catfighting. So we'll be right back. If the baby was here, she'd be like, oh, yes, there was the Garfield clock in the bathroom. But we won't get into that. We'll be right back. Hey, ladies, I need to interrupt for just a second to share about the Sisterhood membership. It's basically a sale every day. And the best part, it's free. Here's the details. We're partnering with our friends at Benefit Hub and other care partners to save you money. With over 200,000 participating companies across the U.S. and abroad, you'll find discounts at your favorite local stores, huge savings on vacations, amazing deals on home, auto, and supplemental insurances, and everything in between. Go to confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com to sign up, and then definitely tell your friends about it. They can join too. Trust me, there's a discount for everyone. And don't forget, it's free. Okay, back to confessing.
Hey, everybody, we are here today with Susie Singer Carter, and we're talking about, first of all, family relationships and how sometimes you just gotta let go of those expectations and move on. But her mother has had Alzheimer's, and she has a spouse that's 12 years older. And I liked how you said they were pretty much one complete person. Which is, that's sometimes that's the way I feel. My husband knows how to get places, and I just drive. And so. Anyway, but I guess the question is, tell me, at what point do you feel like you had to step in and fully start that care? When did it start impacting you?
What did it look like?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get past all. Let's jump to when my stepfather passed away, who was my mom's best friend. And that was like, she was so worried about him passing away because she kept saying, when George goes, that's my best friend. And, what's life going to be? And I just knew it was going to be a really hard time for her. And they were living in a senior community because he didn't have Alzheimer's. So they allowed her in because, as I said, they made one whole person. He was the memory, and she was the eyes and the ears and the feet and the arms. So they, but when he passed, they needed her to go into memory care. Well, she wasn't thriving in memory care. It was horrendous in memory care. It was like care with a K, And so I went to visit her one day, and like, she looked like somebody I didn't recognize, like a skinny scarecrow, because they were, no one was reminding her that she needs to eat and so on and so forth. So I just said, girls, pack mom's bags and we're taking her home. And that was during my divorce. I was just selling my house. And I just said, I don't know, but I have to. And when my stepfather died, you know, my mom was having Groundhog's Day, which was basically like, where's Georgie? And I'd go, oh, he died. What? Why didn't anybody tell me? When was the funeral? So I'd go, Mom, don't you remember? Like, you know, first I'd start up, don't you remember? We went to, and here's the memorial. And she'd go, and my brother at the time, when I was still talking to him, was like, why are you telling her? Just lie to her. Just lie to her. And just, you know, and I knew instinctually that, and this isn't for all people with dementia, but my mom was at that stage where she was straddling. She was at that very difficult stage. She was aware that she was losing her memory and she was fighting it tooth and nail, fighting it tooth and nail. So she was straddling the fence, I say. And so I knew that if I could just do it somehow patiently and consistently and let her know with tenderness that he was gone, that it would imprint in her brain. And so within the first week when she moved in with me, she would ask me constantly and I would remind her. I wouldn't say remember. I'd just say, oh, Mommy, you were there. You were funny. You said this. Everyone laughed, you know. Oh, yeah. Finally, you know, probably about 7-8 days later, she said, where's Georgie? And I just took a second and just looked at her like, and she said, he died, right? And I said, he died. That was the last time she ever asked about him. So I think she needed that. She needed that closure because it was haunting her. Yeah. It was haunting her. So I felt really proud of that. I was still making mistakes left and right. Don't get me wrong. Because I have videotape of me like, you know, going, so Mom, what day is it? Mom, where do you live? What's your address? You know, but in my heart of hearts, people, I want to give you a break and just go, I know that, because I know for me, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought that the more I tested her and, you know, it would keep her memory, you know, at the level that it was. I didn't want it to get worse. I thought, you know, until I can find the cure, which of course I was going to find a cure because even though everybody else didn't, I was going to find something.
I love that.
Yeah. Right.
I love that.
Yeah. That was it. I was like, Mom, I got you. We're going to get this. Nobody else has, but they don't get it. We're just hang in a little bit longer. Right. Yeah. And then I realized, you know, the year that she lived with me, which I called the best and worst year of my life, I realized that I am no match for this beast called Alzheimer's. And I had no control over it and I didn't understand it thoroughly. So I made it my business to start understanding it. And once I did that and I started leaning into my mother and the stages that she was at and giving her the permission to live with this disease instead of being embarrassed by it or intimidated by it, I just said, okay, well, if that's the way it's going to be, we're going to make it the best journey that we can. And so when I leaned into it and I figured it out, you know, and I'm sure you guys talk about all the ways in which we work better with people when they have Alzheimer's, you know, it was a different life and it was so wonderful. And I had my younger daughter was still living with me at the time. And, she had pretty much only had nanny. We call her nanny, you know, when my mom was starting with Alzheimer's. So, so she was that year was difficult on Madeline. And I had friends tell me before I moved my mom in, are you sure you want to do this? This is so unfair to your daughter. Is it? Maybe it is. I didn't know. Maybe should I not? I mean, is this, you know, and my endocrinologist, who I became really good friends with, I really respected her. And I said, what would you do? I mean, do you think I'm doing the wrong thing? And she said, oh my God, you couldn't be doing the more right thing. Like you are modeling what love looks like and what care looks like and what commitment looks like. And so, and I put this line in the short film that I did, My Mom and the Girl, where my daughter, at the end of the year when my mom had to move into assisted living, she said to me, I'm not ready for Nanny to leave. And it was a hard year, you guys. It was not easy. You know, my mom would walk into her room. She'd be doing homework and my mom would be like, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm doing homework. Oh, okay. I guess I'm not wanted. I'll go home. You know, those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Or she's wearing my daughter's earrings and my daughter go, Nanny, those are my earrings. She'd go, no, they're not. Okay. Like my mom was convinced that they were her earrings. And God bless my daughter, because she got to the point where it was like, oh, I love those earrings on you. And that's how you do it.
You know, I'm not going to lie to you, because we have a caregiving youth series that's starting next week. And I think it's so interesting that people, you know, I've read friends, acquaintances, whatever they are, doesn't matter. Other human beings said to you, you shouldn't do that. Are you sure you want to do that? And part of me almost wants to go back and say, is it because you don't think I should do it because you wouldn't do it yourself? And so it makes you feel uncomfortable.
120%. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I need to validate your feelings. And here's the thing. I ain't got time to validate your feelings. I'm over here just surviving and, you know, worrying about where the earrings are going. And so, because I'm going to tell you, that's like Kitty when, you know, they find a pair of reading glasses in her mother's, you know, adult undies.
Yeah.
And they're like, and they didn't belong to anybody in the family. And so, and so why are they in the undies? But whose are they? Yeah. And so that was, we laughed about that. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Because it is.
It's hilarious.
Because I think you have to laugh. Let me ask you this. I mean, just because we're doing the Caregiving Youth Series, what do you think the good parts were for your daughter, and what do you think the hard parts were for your daughter? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, sure. I mean,
from your perspective.
I think the hard parts and the easy, I think they were the same, to be honest. I think that when, you know, as Team Norma, as we were, I don't think there was much difference because we banded together. There was times that my mom needed, you know, attention, and I had my office, you know, as I said, I lived in the urban land, you know, basically like at a Hollywood studio where, you know, it was like, there was valet parking. And at first I was like, oh my God, that's what I worried about was the other, you know, residents. Are they going to go, oh my God, this person is with Alzheimer's is wrong? Because my mom was so social. She would go and talk to everybody. Next thing I know, she's doing a music video with these like rock stars next door to me. I'm like, okay, mom found her way. Like, and when I had to, by the way, when I had to move her, everybody there missed her. Everybody. And I, you know, that's another lesson I learned is that I thought I had to shield my mom and other people. No. Other people will step up and other people will get it and other people will support you and will love her too.
Yeah.
As witnessed, as I put into my short film, when the valet parkers, my mom would go every day and go, where, I have a Cadillac, and they go, at the first time she said it, they go, you didn't park the car here. What? Okay, I'm calling the police. My mom was like, what the hell is going on here? By the second, but where's my car? You've stolen my car. By the time, so now these are guys, like young guys, right? Yeah. Valley Park. By the time because I went to apologize to them, my mom was walking up to me. She's like, where's my car? You know, I need my car. And they go, Norma, your car's getting detailed. You don't want to rush them. You're paying to have, I love you. Thank you.
Oh my God. I love that.
And see, there are good people that just want to, for me, it's just like protecting her heart, just keeping her safe.
Right?
Like, this is
her
okay.
dignity. Her dignity.
Exactly. This is okay.
Her dignity.
And I'm okay with that. Tell me, you know what, when I get there, just tell me a little white lie. That's okay. Just keep me safe and keep me.
That's good. That's,
you know, I remember
that white lie you can deal with, right?
Yeah, we had Governor Marty Schreiber on, and he said he fought for so long to keep his wife in his world, and he needed to go to hers. And as far as I'm concerned, those valets, they just went into her world just to make her comfortable. And that is such a peace to me. That is such a blessing.
You just gave me chills because I just did an interview with Paul. Oh, I forgot his last name. Wait. Do you know who he is? Paul Wynn. And Paul introduced me to Marty. And when I was doing my interview, he said, oh my God, you remind me so much of Marty and his wife with you and your mom. And I said, that's so funny. You just brought him up. That's very interesting.
He wrote the book about his wife. And honestly, we were like a snot sandwich within the first 2 minutes of talking to Governor. I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
Are you single? Like, I love you. I don't care that there's a good gap here. I love you, Kitty.
Yeah.
Okay, you would have loved my mom. I always say, tell everybody on my podcast, I say, my mom had more game with men than I've ever had in a wheelchair without anything, with Alzheimer's severely. My mom would push me out of the way and go, "Oh, hello." Hi.
Don't mind my daughter.
I'm very wealthy. I'm just saying. You know. And by the way, men loved her.
Of course they did.
Younger men fell in love with her. She just had that it factor, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a good lesson for all of us to know, that it's really not about this. It's about what goes on in here and in here. And your confidence and all that stuff. But go back to my daughter. I don't think it's any different. I think we underestimate our children, you know. And I'll tell you this because when my mom was at assisted living and in memory care, when she finally had to go, there were a lot of people that brought their kids that worked there, and those kids understood the people with dementia. It was instinctual. I remember watching this little 6-year-old boy go, like, one of the men were getting agitated and he was like, needed to change the channel and he didn't know what to do. And the kid go, I got you, Jack. Don't worry. It's here you go. And he changed the channel and put on, he just got it. And he wasn't frustrated. He wasn't scared. And then I remember visiting my mom with a good friend of mine, and she brought her toddler, and the toddler was so frightened of the older people because she had been shielded from elderly. And that's sad. Yeah. And I think we need to don't underestimate our children, that they'll see. It's just like when Erlanda, who is also this character, is featured in my Mom and the Girl, because she lived with us for the year because I needed help, and Erlanda was my daughter's nanny, so she knew my mom, and that's a whole nother story. But she was instinctually an amazing caregiver. But so she's Guatemalan, and my mom is Jewish, you know, from New Jersey, with her Dooney and Burke bags and her Chico's outfits, and she would take her on Sunday to church, because in the Latino community, they revere their elderly. So when my mom would show my mom would show up to church, and they'd go, Nanny, la reina, they'd call her the queen, and my mom would go, oh, yes, I am, Normita. And they loved her, and they knew, they said, you know, that they knew she had Alzheimer's. They didn't care. Yeah. They were fine. That's just like if someone has, you know, if they don't have a leg, if they had their leg up, you get that. So that's their thing. All right, we got it. She forgot. I'll tell her again. Yeah, I'll tell her again.
Hold that thought, because we got to take a break. Oh man, we are going to super go over.
I know.
That's okay, because we can do after the confession. And so I think we're going to do after the confession. So when we get done here, when we hit our time, we're going to hit. We're still going. We'll go out and we'll come back in, because there's more girl talk. So we'll be right back. I don't know about you, but my inbox is always cluttered with useless emails. But there's one I always open: the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver newsletter. You may say, Natalie, what makes yours so special? Well, I'm biased, but don't just take my word for it. Here's what our subscribers say they love. First, it comes once per month, and you can read it in under 5 minutes. Next, you'll find amazing tips and resources to use in your everyday life. And who doesn't love a recommendation? These sisters do, which is why we share sister-approved products and discount links to save you time and money. And of course, you're first to know about the upcoming month's confessions. Just like our show, you're guaranteed to relate, be inspired, leave with helpful tips and resources, and of course, laugh. Go to our website, confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com, to sign up for our newsletter today.
Hey, everybody, we are back here with Susie Singer Carter. Okay, we've talked about, the good, there is bad in there. Tell me when you've put your mom in the assisted living facility, tell me about the impact of your life and your daughter, how this starts really to impact your career. And long term, you've turned this around because you've done a lot with this, Susie.
Absolutely.
Tell me about if it took you down, how it changed your life, and then also where you've gotten to now.
Yeah, it did change my life. It did, absolutely. I had just finished a movie called Soul Surfer, which was about the Bethany Hamilton, and it was a big
that is film. A really good movie.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I co-produced it. I remember going to Hawaii while my mom was living with me, and I had to have someone living with her because I had to be on location for 3.5 months. And I'm like trying to Zoom with somebody with Alzheimer's, which doesn't work well. As anybody that knows, they're like, because their attention span is like a millisecond, right? And so it's really difficult. And I, again, like I had to lean into my mom in terms of her disease. I had to lean into my situation. Mm-hmm. And so, because I was fighting to keep myself relevant in my industry. And I didn't do horribly, but I couldn't keep up. I couldn't balance everything.
Yeah.
And when I did My Mom and the Girl, which was, I got talked into that, but I thought the world doesn't need another movie about Alzheimer's. That's really what I thought. But when I told this particular anecdote about my mom that the story is based on, everyone said, this is a film. You need to make a film out of it. And I was like, okay. So I did it. And when I realized, when this film resonated with so many people, because I did it with humor, I did it with the music, and I did it with authenticity.
Yeah.
And so it resonated all over the world. Like we won festivals all over the world and in Cannes, and we were Oscar qualified. And teenagers, speaking of youth, would come up to me and go, come up to my partner and I and go, wow, this was my grandma. This was so, like, you really portrayed it. Thank you. With tears in their eyes. And men, and, letters that I got. And I was like, wow, this feels really good. This feels like this might even be my ooey-oo purpose, like why don't I take what I do in terms of storytelling? And that's not to say I've now given up everything, because I've got other projects that I'm doing, but I really like being able to, and I've always liked it with any project I do, is to leave something, give something to your audience that they can take away, And so, but isn't this the biggest takeaway, is to help people and pay it forward with a really hard journey. So I really like it. And I've given into it and decided, okay, I'm going to be a caregiver advocate. I'm going to be an elder care advocate. I want to do that. Why not? Like, I've been through it. I know what it feels like, and who better to do it? And I can tell a good story.
Yeah.
So that's my purpose, to be, very Gen X-y, which, but I mean,
we're fine being Gen X.
I'm going to be mindful, and I'm going to hold space. I mean, but it's true. I think that it's important to find your purpose, right?
I do.
And I think that I realized that there is no better purpose. And I think what's really powerful about caregiving is that it puts everything into perspective, and it gives you a very healthy perspective on what is important, where your priorities should be, and it teaches you to appreciate the good and because I appreciated all the extra time I had with my mom. I remember going, even when she was in a wheelchair, I'd go, I'm so lucky. I get to go and cuddle on her. I'll go and sit on her lap and mush her all up. I'd kiss her everywhere. And, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. Like, I just look at her and go, you're such a fierce warrior. You're here. You're still here.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Is everything okay on your side? Because all I hear is a ton of stuff in your background.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Is it me? Oh, I hear the trash can. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hold on.
All right, I'm about 36 and a half minutes.
Okay, is that okay? Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It got really, really loud, and I'm like, Eugene's going to be like, what is happening? And
sorry.
It's totally fine. Totally fine.
You're fine.
No, okay. All right, Eugene, we're going to come back into it. All right, and so we've got about 7 minutes left into this. Okay.
So you guide me where you want me to go.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we'll end, we're going to ask some questions, and then I'm going to say we're going to come back for after the confession. We'll stop it, and then we'll record for another 15 minutes if that works for you.
Sure.
Yeah, because I want you to be able to talk about the film and stuff, and I don't want to rush it.
Okay. Sweetheart. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you were just, you were talking about these things, and gosh, man, it's getting close, and I want to make sure our listeners know there's more to this. And so we're a little time limited on how we do stuff. And so we're going to have extra episodes. So if you're listening on UK Health Radio, jump over to the podcast. We're going to throw the extra episode into you guys, and so that you can hear it, because I think it's really important, because Susie's done so much more after, because there's more to the story. And in the sense of her mom goes into nursing and skilled nursing facility where our mom is. And not the same facility, but that level of care. And it doesn't go great. And I think, I really want to talk to you and gain your wisdom about how did you manage that? Because that is the hardest thing. So, I want to do sister questions, Jay, if that's okay. Let's do some sister questions, because these are really good. So people are going to be like, wait, no, we want to hear more. You're going to hear more. Jump over to after the confession. We'll make sure it's unlocked. Okay. We're going to make sure it's unlocked on Spotify and Apple and UK Health. We'll make sure it's unlocked. Okay. All right, Susie.
I
sister questions.
The stories of Norma.
I want to be Norma's best friend.
I know.
I'm going to say right now. She is the pretty cheerleader, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh my God. She's the fun one. She's a bubble. She's bubbly and smart though. Like, she might like you, but if she doesn't, watch out.
Yeah.
Because my mom, because I always had the disease to please, and my mom would go, "What if they don't like you? What do you care? You don't like me? I don't like you. Bye-bye."
Disease to please.
That is
going to be like famous last words. I got the disease to please, and that is some caregiver advice. Like,
don't catch it.
Yeah, don't catch it. I'm going to ask you let's get a little tipsy before we go into our sisters. What would be a tip? Yeah, right. What would be a tip that you would say, like, what do you wish, knowing what you know now, what would you have told your younger self when this all started? You're 16 years later, you know what I mean? Like at the end, and you had all this runway of caregiving. You had a long journey. What would you tell your younger self when you were starting?
Hold on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But it's what movie is that from? I forget. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I would tell myself, you hold on, because you're going to be a better person than you ever imagined. This is going to enhance you and make you, if you didn't like yourself before, you will like yourself. You're going to really like yourself and who you are, because you're going to step up and you're going to see how powerful you can be, and and so I think that I wouldn't have thought that then, and I didn't think that then. I just thought, oh, why me? And why you it's a gift. It's a gift, because this is a very short life. And so if you can understand what's important, you're golden.
That's the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay, what's your question?
So
sister?
I love stories about favorite moments, regardless. So give me a favorite moment with your mom. A favorite funny. We have lots of funnies. Our mom watched her iPhone. So favorite time.
Oh, I got many. Okay, ready? I'll try to do it really fast. So my mom, when the year she was living with me, we went and took her she needed to get a biopsy on her breast. Okay. Yeah. And so her and the caregiver came with me, and we took her to the doctor. She had the appointment, and everyone it's men and women in the waiting room. So they're waiting to get their X-ray, whatever it is, whatever MRI, whatever. So it's my mom's turn, and they go, "Okay, Norma, follow me." And I'm like, she has Alzheimer's. Do you want me to come in? No, we got this. You sure? Got this. 30 seconds later, they're out there. She's not having it. She's not having it. So you can, she's like, you're going to have to reschedule. I go, oh no, we're not rescheduling. No, I'm here. We're not rescheduling. I'm going in with her. So they put on the lead coat on me. I'm in there. Well, they've got my mom on this metal table with her boobie through the metal. There's a hole because they got to do a biopsy.
That's awful.
So, right? And my mom is going, "Get me the hell off this table! What the hell are you doing? I'm gonna sue you. Get me off of here!" I'm under the table singing to her, right? I'm like, "Mom," I'm going, I'm singing, "Our love is here too." I'm going, "Mom, please listen. You might have cancer. What if you have cancer? I don't give a shit. Get me off this table. I want to get out of here. What's wrong with you people? What are you doing to me? Get me off this table." By the time I was under there. I did everything I could do. Like I did a dog and pony show. the doctor was under there with me. She got the biopsy. So we got it done, right? So then my mom puts her, so she's got the little like robe-y thing on that opens from the front, right?
Yeah.
And by this time my mom's forgotten what's going on. She's fine. She's like, "Oh, you look great. Love you. Oh, this, you got gorgeous skin." She's telling like the nurse, "Oh, thank you." So we walking out of the room and she doesn't remember what happened. And then she sees all these people. This is not normally my mom, but maybe it is. She sees a man who's sitting waiting for his turn, and she just opens her thing and goes da 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 da, and she goes, "Did you like that?" And he went, "Yes."
And for those that aren't watching that, basically her mom disrobed for the man in the lobby.
And she shook her tatas. She shook her tatas like she owned it. I love that.
And the nurses said, "Your mom is our favorite person in the world." They were all just like, "We love her so much." As we're walking to the car, somebody said, "See you later, Gypsy Rosalie."
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, that is one of the best stories. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about our friend, gosh, oh, shoot, what's her name? Because her mother was sitting on the...
Robin Weeks.
Robin. Oh, Robin, we love you. So Robin Weeks, Susie, her mom was sitting outside on a park bench kind of feel, and she had no bottom pants on. Completely top on.
Robin had run to get her a change of pants because she had an accident. And when she walked back in, her mom was just like, "Well, I took my pants." And she's just sitting there, just totally
sitting there, bottom half down. Feels like you're going to the gynecologist. You know what? Just the bottom half. You know what? Just bottom half, ladies. Bottom half.
It was just the bottom half.
Mom. Yeah, it's just a bottom half. Whatever. At some point, you don't even care. You know what? Yeah, right? So I have one more question, and then we're going to jump to after the confession here in just a second.
Okay.
But what is your favorite guilty pleasure? The one thing, especially as a caregiver, what is the one thing that you do for yourself?
My one thing?
You can have multiple, but what is the one thing that your favorite thing? You're like, I do this just for me.
Dance.
Oh, really?
That's what I do. I do hip hop dance. I started it when my mom was first diagnosed. I was like, I've always loved to dance and work out. But I watched this class, and I've been taking the same class ever since with the same choreographer. I don't know if you ever see, if you're not, I don't put them on LinkedIn, but I always put the videos every week on it, and they're bad. I just want you to know, for a white girl, I move now. I move.
So you could be on So You Think You Could Dance. You could be on So You Think You Could Dance.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. You have to see my videos, but people do. People love them, and it is my guilty pleasure. And I am, in my other life, I am Beyonce. Okay, in my
fantastic.
Snap. Yes, you are.
Yes.
Beyonce. I mean, clearly Beyonce's listening to this. Beyonce, if you're listening to this, clearly you're going to need to do a little solo at...
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. And like the teacher, Danny Barnett, if he ever listens to this, he's bad. He is so good. I always tell him, he looks like Prince, okay? And I tell him, I go, remember, this is a white behind, because he's like making it do things. I go, white. I am doing the best I can.
I absolutely love this. You know what? Best part of my day. You are the best part of my day.
Yep.
Without question. Guys,
back at you.
I knew this was going to be fun. It was worth the wait. You are always worth the wait, Susie. Never forget that.
Thank
guys,
you.
I'm going to tell you. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Jump over. We're going to talk a little bit more about her film. No Country for Old People.
Mm-hmm.
That's one to make sure I was right. Because, there's other. So No Country for Old People. And I am very interested in chatting about that. So until we confess again, we will see you next time.